Hey, what's up, guys? I wanted to record a quick video and show my email writing process. Kind of writing this one late today. Usually I do it first thing in the morning, but had a few meetings and whatnot, and now jumping into it. So, as far as a format, what I usually do is I use Eddie Kwan's email writing format, and what he does is he starts with one big idea and basically one story. And so, whenever I go to write an email, I try to keep those two things in mind. And sometimes I'll have a Google Doc that I'll write in, and I'll just have idea, story, and then those will be the two things that I start writing with. In this case, a little more informal. I'm just going to start writing it straight in Beehive, but I thought we'd start right here. And so this is my Second Brain note-taking app. I use Logseek. Basically, I ran across this tweet today that was like, I think it was from Cody Sanchez, and I was like, if that person can do it, I can too. Essentially, this is a good reason to be around rich people or people that have see that they're not necessarily that much different than you. They've just done different things. So I like that idea. I'm going to use that for my email today. So what we'll do is we'll go over to Beehive. I've already kind of started writing it, but I have a template that I use, some standard links at the bottom here, some headings and stuff, just because I like the formatting. But so the idea, is that idea is be around people that are, accomplished. And let's see here. I don't know if I can get this back. Yeah, that's better. So we'll do that here. Yeah. Anyway, the story that came to mind when I saw that was this guy I met when I was 15. His name was Bob, built guitars, and basically going to walk through the story of meeting him, why I met him, and then essentially he said something when we were there, and I'm trying to remember exactly how he said it. I'm going to probably paraphrase, but basically he was like, I'm not the smartest person in the world, but if I see you do something, I'm going to be able to do it. If you don't, yeah, it's kind of clunky way to say it, but it's essentially how he said it. Anyway, yeah, so I just kind of walked through the story, kind of the what, when, why, kind of set the scene a little bit. So when I was 15, describe this guy a little bit. He's 70. Here's some of the stuff he did. He's built recurve bows, pool cues, airplanes. He's a professional golfer. But then how's it tie into me? He built guitars, and they're really just like incredible guitars. And essentially, he could do anything. If he, anything he wanted to do, he could do. And he had this mindset that if he saw someone else do it, he could do it. And it's pretty powerful. So I wrote that out earlier. I'm just going to go from there. So actually, that be around rich people, we use that as a heading because that's like the big idea. So I'm going to tie that, kind of figure out how to tie this in. So I'm not the smartest person in the world. Wow. I still remember that like it was yesterday, something like that. Yeah. And it's a principle and it's a way of living that I have aspired to ever since. Why? Because it is a powerful framework, kind of tying the story into the big idea. It's a powerful framework for achieving what you thought was never, for achieving the stuff that you thought was impossible. Here's a few ways that I incorporate this into my daily life. All right. That's pretty good start. So first way, I think we'll just leave with two, even though there's the power of three principle, but I'll start with two. So the first one is be around rich people or people that are accomplished. What's the next one? Would be something like chase your curiosity. Yeah, that'd be the second one. So I'm just going to try to expand on both of these real quick. So be around rich people. Well, there's no better way to shatter your limiting beliefs than to be in the same room as someone that is accomplished something wild. I've never tried to talk and write before, so this is a little awkward. I usually go back and fix stuff like that that's awkwardly stated. Anyway, there's no better way than to be in the same room. This is why I pay money for communities that offer access to these kind of people. For instance, I am currently in a community with a coach that is doing DK revenue weeks. That's insane to me. And something I didn't realize was possible a few years ago. Yeah, so like every time I try, like I give a thought around a topic, I'll try to tie it into something that maybe like a really short story or an example from my life seems to really tie it together. I try to provide like a tactical example every single time. So in this example, it's this community. So big thought, kind of why the thought, and then maybe a little bit of a how I'm doing it. Communities are something that are one of the best ways to get into these rooms. Into these rooms, they are generally expensive, but worth every penny. Sweet. So there's that. This one, chase your curiosity. This one might seem a little abstract related to the idea, but in my mind, how I'm thinking about it, two tactical ways to essentially figure out what's possible and expand your limiting beliefs is to just see what's out there, and the only way to really do that without burnout is just looking at stuff you have a proclivity for or natural curiosity about. So how am I going to say that? This may not seem relevant, but the other best way to find those ceiling shattering examples of what's possible is to follow your curiosity. Going down rabbit holes on topics that you genuinely care about is one of the best learning tactics ever. Okay, so there's the idea, kind of why. And now I'm going to try to find an example of why I think that. What's a good example? Yeah, so one thing that I've recently got into is kind of fashion and like men's fashion and stuff. I've always been interested in it, but I've recently started following some people on, like, for instance, let's show you this guy real quick. Derek Guy. I love like the stuff that he puts out. He does these like super in-depth threads on, like, people will respond to some of his other threads or posts and with a question, and he'll just like go super deep on the question. It's just super interesting stuff. Like, I love that. So it's something that I have a natural curiosity about, and following some of his stuff is got me down some rabbit holes I never thought was available. And it's like a whole different niche. And so like it's this whole niche that's opened up. For instance, like as a ghostwriter, that might be, a niche to look into. So for instance, I've been really getting into men's fashion and the art behind it. Derek Guy, as I workwear on X, has led me down some really interesting rabbit holes recently. And I'm learning a ton. So you may has to do with building a business online. Well, for me, it opens up a whole new, I can't type, a whole new niche that I could, my ghostwriting agency, one that I have a huge interest in. If I would have stuck with marketing to other marketers, I never would have found Derek. So go down some rabbit holes. All right, that's probably good enough for that one. And then at the end, I just like try to tie everything together. So let's go back and read over it. When I was 15, I'm not the smartest person in the world, but if you want me to do something, don't let me see you do it. If we go back to my original idea, getting into the right rooms, going down esoteric rabbit holes, is the single best way to see what's out there and possible. Because remember, if that random person on the internet can do it, you can too. So get out there and be esoteric people. You'll realize they're no different from you, and the sky is the limit. That's it. Basically, put some more context in here. This guy has over 1 million followers on X, talking about his passion. Wild. All right, a little more context about why that's relevant to this idea. Yeah, and then at the end, sometimes I'll put the subject line in there first, or sometimes I'll do it second. But in this case, I put it in before I kind of got started. Like as soon as I wrote the story out, I put it in there. But yeah, hopefully this is coherent. I never tried to talk through my process as well as doing it. But yeah, we'll go ahead and send it out. What the heck? Let's see what happens. Well, there we go. It's out there in the world. All right. Thanks, y'all. Talk soon.